December 19th, 1944, 06:23 hours. The forests outside Neuville, Belgium, lay frozen in silence, broken only by the distant rumble of engines. Inside a Panther tank, Oberleutnant Klaus Wendel's gloved fingers struggled to hold a frozen pencil as he scribbled into his notebook, his breath clouding the cramped steel turret. "The Americans have a new hunter," he wrote. "We hear them but never see them. 3 of our Tigers destroyed yesterday." Beyond the tree line, in the icy pre-dawn mist, American M18 Hellcats of the 75th Tank Destroyer Battalion were already maneuvering into position. What Wendell did not yet know was that within 17 minutes, his entire understanding of armored warfare would collapse before a machine that violated every German principle of tank combat. A vehicle that was not stronger or heavier, but faster than anything the Wehrmacht believed could survive in battle. The Panther's 75mm gun could penetrate any Allied tank at 2 kilometers. Its sloped armor deflected most shells. It was the pinnacle of German engineering, methodical, powerful, invincible. But 3 minutes after the first contact with the M18 Hellcats, those beliefs turned to ruin. Across the frozen forests of Belgium and Luxembourg, German tank crews began facing a terrifying truth. The Americans had built something entirely different, born not from the obsession with armor and firepower, but from a philosophy that valued movement, the idea that speed itself could be a weapon. The M18 Hellcat's story began in December 1941, just as the United States entered the war. While German engineers pursued heavier monsters, 45-ton Panthers and 69-ton King Tigers, American designers at General Motors' Buick division in Flint, Michigan, took a radical path. Under the directive of General Leslie McNair, the newly formed Tank Destroyer Command built its doctrine around 3 words: seek, strike, destroy. The goal was not to outgun the enemy, but to outmaneuver him. Buick's chief engineer, Joseph Roberts, was given a challenge that seemed impossible. Mount a 76mm high-velocity gun capable of killing German armor, keep the profile low, achieve speeds above 50 miles per hour, and weigh under 20 tons. The result was the M18, lightly armored, frighteningly fast, and unlike anything else on the battlefield. Its armor was paper-thin, just 25mm on the turret front, 12mm on the hull, barely enough to stop a heavy machine gun. Against a German 88mm shell, it offered no hope. Yet, this vulnerability created its strength. The Hellcat could accelerate from 0 to 30 mph in 7 seconds, reach 55 km/h on roads, and outpace even the fastest German tanks by more than double. In the time it took a Panther crew to spot, aim, and fire, the Hellcat could move nearly a mile. Its 76mm gun, firing a tungsten-cored HVAP round at 2,600 feet per second, could punch through the sides of any German tank at 1,500 meters, often before the Germans even heard the shot. The Germans fought as they had been trained: deliberate, careful, slow. The Americans fought differently. At Camp Hood, Texas, where Hellcat crews trained, the motto was simple: speed is life. Never stay still for more than 30 seconds after firing. Hit fast, vanish faster. Between 1943 and 1944, Buick produced just over 2,500 M18 Hellcats, far fewer than Sherman's, but enough to change the war. While Germany struggled to produce 90 Panthers a month, American factories were already flooding Europe with thousands of armored vehicles. For every German Panther that rolled out of a factory, the United States built 8 tanks or destroyers. The first Hellcats reached Europe in early 1944, fighting in Italy with the 894th Tank Destroyer Battalion. But it was in France, during the breakout from Normandy, that German tankers first faced their nightmare. Reports spoke of enemy vehicles moving faster than any tank should be able to. Panthers fired and missed as Hellcats raced past, vanishing into hedgerows. The numbers were terrifying. 80 kilometers per hour over rough terrain. 3-minute engagements. A kill ratio that defied belief. In September 1944, at the Battle of Arracourt, fog hung thick over the fields of Lorraine as Lieutenant Edwin Leiper's platoon from the 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion encountered German armor at point-blank range. Visibility was 30 feet. In 5 minutes, his 4 M18s destroyed 5 German tanks. By the end of the day, they had killed 15 for the loss of 3 Hellcats. The American speed, coordination, and doctrine of shoot and scoot had shattered the German counterattack. At Arracourt, the 4th Armored Division and its attached Hellcats achieved a 5.6-to-1 kill ratio. The moment when German commanders began to realize the old rules of armored combat no longer applied. Then came December 1944, the Battle of the Bulge, as German tanks surged through the Ardennes in a desperate final offensive. The M18s met them head-on in the woods near Bastogne and Neuville. The 75th and 609th Tank Destroyer Battalions raced forward through snow and fog, supporting the 101st Airborne. In 2 days of brutal fighting, 12 M18s from the 75th helped destroy over 30 German tanks, inflicting 1,000 casualties and buying the 48 hours needed to hold Bastogne. One platoon under Lieutenant David Hagens knocked out 12 tanks in a single engagement. On Christmas Day, the 75th destroyed 27 more, losing 6 Hellcats, a 6.7-to-1 kill ratio. In the freezing winter, the Hellcat's lightweight became its greatest weapon. While German Tigers and Panthers bogged down in mud and snow, the Hellcat glided across terrain they couldn't even enter. It could cross bridges rated for trucks, move through back roads, and flank heavy armor that was confined to main routes. German tankers, their fuel dwindling, often found themselves ambushed from angles no map predicted. The secret wasn't just speed, it was communication. Every Hellcat carried reliable radios and intercoms, allowing platoons to attack like wolves. Fast, coordinated, lethal. German crews, often with failing radios, could only react in confusion. Hellcats struck from multiple directions at once, overwhelming superior tanks through movement and teamwork. By the time a German turret turned, the Americans were already gone. From Italy to France to Belgium, the pattern repeated. The M18's R975 radial engine, adapted from aircraft, roared to life instantly, even in sub-zero cold. German engines needed minutes of warming. Their transmissions broke down, their fuel ran out, their tanks froze in place. The Hellcat kept moving. It was not indestructible, but it didn't need to be. It was a weapon built for a doctrine, and that doctrine worked. By 1945, Hellcats were racing across Germany at highway speeds, hunting retreating armor. In March, near the Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen, M18s crossed where no other tanks could, ambushing German reinforcements and destroying 11 tanks, including 2 King Tigers. In the Ruhr pocket, Hellcats moved so quickly they appeared behind German lines before enemy commanders even realized the front had collapsed. The age of slow, methodical armored warfare was over, replaced by mobility, precision, and audacity. The statistics told the story. Of the roughly 2,500 Hellcats built, 526 confirmed enemy kills were recorded against 216 lost, the highest kill-to-loss ratio of any American armored vehicle in the war. Units like the 75th and 704th achieved kill ratios above 6-to-1. The 601st recorded an astonishing 23-to-1. The Hellcat's armor was paper-thin, but its doctrine made it untouchable. Even when hit, its open-topped turrets saved lives. 80% of crewmen survived, compared to just 35% in German heavy tanks. In contrast, Germany built only 6,000 Panthers, 1,347 Tigers, and 492 King Tigers. Magnificent machines, but too slow, too complex, too few. For every masterpiece the Reich produced, America turned out dozens of practical tools. Where German engineers sought perfection, American engineers sought victory. The Panther was a fortress. The Hellcat was a hunter. By the war's end, the lesson was clear. The M18 Hellcat didn't win through brute strength. It won through the realization that in modern war, speed kills. The Germans, trapped by their own obsession with armor, had created targets perfectly suited for fast, mobile enemies. In trying to build invulnerable tanks, they had made themselves slow and vulnerable to those who fought differently. The Hellcat proved that victory belongs not to the strongest, but to the fastest, not to those who build monuments, but to those who build tools. 3 minutes. That was all a German tanker had from the first growl of the Hellcat's engine to the strike of its 76mm round. 3 minutes to react, to aim, to fire. And then, silence. For most, those 3 minutes were their last. The M18 Hellcat remains one of the most extraordinary vehicles of the Second World War. Not because of its firepower or armor, but because it redefined how war was fought. It turned speed into a weapon, movement into protection, and changed forever the way the world thought about armored combat. It proved that sometimes the best armor is simply not being where the enemy expects you to be. And in the frozen woods of Belgium, in those short, violent minutes of December 1944, the German crews of the Ardennes learned that lesson the hard way.